Hi, it's Chris, and welcome to my Monday Motivation. It is, almost the end of March. I can hardly believe it. And Easter is just right around the corner. But I've been having so much fun with Close to My Heart's March stamp of the month. It's called Winged Masterpiece. And to be honest, I have yet to color in this beautiful butterfly or this equally lovely dragonfly because I've been having so much fun just doing simple cards with letting the butterfly and the dragonfly be black and solid and then having a really pretty background. So if you caught my Monday motivation last week, I showed how to make a soft background, and I mentioned something about ink smooshing. In fact, I had this card on my blog, and I mentioned ink smooshing, and I had a couple people ask me, what is that? So I'm glad you asked, and today we'll get into some ink smooshing. So before I get started, I'm going to kind of unpeel my work surface here. And this was the original card, which I made, and it is with watercolor. And I first stamped the dragonfly, and unfortunately I didn't do a very good job stamping him. So I finished, when I was done completely with the card, I finished him off with some liquid onyx pearl. And it really is cool. I don't know if you can kind of see that. So even if you didn't make a mistake with the body, it looks very, very nice. And for this card, I did use distress oxides. I used peacock feathers and abandoned coral. But if you don't have distress oxides, guess what? You don't have to go out and buy them, because I practice with our Close to My Heart inks, and it works really, really well. So one thing I did find out is I went with a really soft color palette here, and I used the flamingo and the bluebird inks, and I even came in with a little bit of Carolina, and this was my first attempt, and it came in really, really soft. I ended up embossing this butterfly in black, and now all I have to do is mount it and finish it with a card. There's not a lot of color on this, so if I wanted, this would be a great opportunity. Take a watercolor brush and pick up some ink from my lid and go ahead and fill in some of those flowers. And you know what? Let's just try it. I haven't pre-planned this. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see if we like it. Now, this water brush happens to be a super wet one. It lets out a lot of water, so I'm not sure. So let's go ahead and just try this flower here. And I'm going to just add some blue from the ink, the lid, and just go directly to it. I'm not going to color in all the flowers, but I'm just going to get a couple of the highlights or some of the bigger, bolder ones. So I just colored in those two. Let me get a little bit more ink. Maybe I'll come in with this one. So you just never know where this Monday motivation is going to take you, because this was kind of a spur of the moment random thought that I had, and here I was just bragging that I hadn't colored in any of these flowers, and I thought, well, let's try it and see how it works. So I'm just picking up some of the ink from the lid, and if I wanted to get more ink out, I could just press it down onto a work surface or a block. And I think that looks really, really pretty. So it's giving a little bit more, more detailed, because I didn't have a lot of ink in the back. So this is going to be nice. I think I might come in now and do some of the pinks later. Well, this is just typical of me. You'll have to come back and see how my finished card looks at the end. Or maybe tomorrow I'll have it. We'll see. All right, so then for the next card, I just wanted to kind of show you in comparison. So for this card here, I used watercolor paper, and this is White Daisy. And what I noticed about when I used White Daisy, it immediately just kind of soaked in and stayed wherever I touched it. So it wasn't very forgiving. It's not a bad background. I'm sure I'm gonna do something with it, but I just wanted to show you the difference between watercolor paper and the white daisy. The watercolor paper does have the ink move a little bit, and here for the white daisy it goes right in. And I did try something where I took my gold brush and put some extra ink on a block and then used the same technique of ink smooshing. So I'm kind of ramping up for the ink smooshing demonstration, and here we go. I'm going to get my surface cleaned off, and you'll want to use a craft mat because it does get a little bit messy. And by experience, I learned that I want to have a clean craft mat, otherwise you may end up with colors that you were not expecting on your finished project. Ask me how I know. So I'm going to just take a second, and because I've been working a little bit on this, I want to make sure that my mat is clean and nothing. See, I am picking up some blue, so I am using blue, but had I not wanted to, it could have been a disaster. So I just want to go ahead and dry that. For ink smooshing, as I mentioned, you can use Close to My Heart inks, which is really nice, and you'll want just a piece of acetate. You can use a flip-flop, you can use packaging, anything that is clear and flexible. Maybe it doesn't even have to be clear, but by being clear, it lets you see where you're placing it. So I think that is probably important to do. Okay, so I have my watercolor card cut to size, and this is just plain watercolor cardstock that I got from Michaels. You can also pick up this brand at Walmart, so it's inexpensive and it works really great. For this card, I was trying to mimic my Distress Oxide inks, and I ended up using the Flamingo and the Peacock, or Pacifica. And I'm not sure if Pacifica is retired, but it was quite dark. So I think I'm going to go back to using either Carolina or Bluebird because I really liked how soft those were. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the inks do tend to lighten as they dry. So that's something just to keep in mind. And another important thing that I'm going to touch on is you want to let the layers of color dry before you add more, and that'll prevent it from mudding up. All right, so let's start with the pink flamingo. And to do that, I just go ahead and swipe a little color on my mat. And then I want to add some water, and I can do that with a water brush. I can do it with a spray, and this happens to be one of the retired Close to My Heart little spritzers. If you have a water bottle of any kind, that will do it too. This one is a little bit clogged, so. But I got some water on there, not a lot, but you'll see how quickly this works. And then I want to dab my plastic in and kind of move it around. And now I'm starting to pick up ink on here, and I can go ahead and just lay it down, and you can see how it moves around. Now, the longer I hold it in place, the more it will soak into that one spot. So if I want a really big spot, I can just leave it and kind of massage it and let it, soak in. So this is still my first layer, so I don't really have to let it dry yet. But when I go back to do a second layer, I do need to. So you can see the flamingo is a little bit lighter than what it shows on the ink cover. I'm going to come back in, and I can just go ahead and move this around, dab it. Sometimes I can come in and get a little spot, and so I can just come in and dab in little ink like droplets here and here if I wanted to. Okay, so that's nice for my first layer. It is important, as I mentioned, to go ahead and heat set it. So I have this little craft heat tool that doesn't get too hot, and I'm going to just turn it on really quick. Can't do it off camera, I'm sorry to say, but luckily it's not too loud, and I'm just going to dry that quickly. By drying it, I'm going to get layers of color even when I do pink on top of pink. So I like that idea. Okay. And again, I'm just going to come in with my plastic. If I needed to add more ink, I could. Another thing is you can go ahead and stamp your image first so that you know where you're putting it down. But I'm just kind of free guessing it. And I know I have a little ink there, and I'm just going to come to pick it up there. So this is a little bit more splotchy. Each one comes out differently. I think I do want a little bit more just to... So again, it's just so easy to keep adding to it. I want to dry that real quick. It doesn't take much to dry. And this time, let's go ahead and try a water brush, hopefully. Oh, you know what? I had the blue in there, remember? So, whew, that was a close call. So I'm going to go ahead and try one more time. This time I will go ahead and actually spritz it again, and I can put as much ink down as I want. I'll show you a tip for cleaning up the extra. If you were making bookmarks, it would be perfect. So I am getting a little bit more now on here, and I want to do a bigger area. I feel like my butterfly was maybe a little bit not colored enough. So again, I can just move that plastic, and it moves the ink around. I can drag it, dot it, dab it in. What I try to do is avoid just, the edge showing. That's why it's a good idea to come in and fold your plastic, and then you can come down and put it where you want it. All right, so now I have a lot more pink. And to not waste that, I just take the leftover scraps of watercolor paper that I cut, and I'm gonna just go ahead and pick that up. This is the blues that I had left over from my cards, and I could either stamp part of the butterfly or the dragonfly wing on that and use that on a card, or I can make bookmarkers out of this, I was thinking. So, and I'm going to just keep using these to sop up color. I think it'll be great. All right, and I want to just let that pink dry before I come in and add any blue. So you can see that you're starting to get a really random background, and it's really nice. So let's come in with the bluebird, because that is a pretty blue. And again, I'm just going to add some. And I don't need a lot of blue because this blue is more like, it's kind of just like an accent color. So I'm going to add a little there. The hard part is finding your plastic piece. You set it down and then you can't find it. So again, I want to kind of curve it so I don't get the edges. And I have a lot of ink on there, and as I mentioned, I want this to be my accent piece. So I'm going to just dab off some of the extras here, and then I can come in and just kind of touch down lightly and randomly. I like those little dots there that are there. I like to get those on. So that's looking really pretty. Just want a little bit more, I think, kind of down here. It's nice when it kind of comes off the edge and you have a little bit more. There we go. All right, so again, I want to dry it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to try the gold on this, but maybe just to show you an effect of using it. So again, I mentioned I have all that blue left over. You could make a whole assembly line of cards. I mean, here I have some more. Maybe what we'll do is just go ahead and do that just so that you get the idea. See, I'm looking for my blue plastic. All right, here I have a lot. I think this one is going to be more blue. predominantly blue. And again, as I move my fingers around, it really changes the way the ink is coming. It almost looks a little bit marbled. So I think it would be pretty with the light blue on top of this then. And the butterfly could be, this could be this guy, but it definitely has a marbled look to it. And I'm just smooshing the ink. And just as I said, each one is going to look totally different. So that's what's kind of fun about this technique. I'm going to just come in and pick up that extra ink and just keep layering that. And you do want to clean up your site so that you don't get too much ink where it doesn't belong. All right, and then so I did take a gold shimmer brush and I put it on there. Now it's starting to dry a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can regenerate that. Yep. And I'm going to put that down here. We'll see how it looks. And grab my acetate. And I think I'm going to put it on this blue. And again, I'm going to use the same technique of just picking it up and then dabbing it down. And it might be picking up some of the blue from my paper because it's looking a little bit more greenish. So, but it's not bad. It still looks cool. And because it's shimmer, it'll have a little bit of a shimmer effect on there. So I'm excited to see what this is going to look like when it's done. So I don't know if you can see how it's starting to shimmer like that. So nice. All right. Hi, Brenda. How are you? Thanks for commenting. I've been so busy in my little world here. I haven't said hello to anybody, and I haven't said leave me a comment or an emoji. But I was kind of holding my breath because I was not wanting to have any bad cards. But I'm just comparing the difference between watercolor paper and pretty much the same inks. This is the gold and the Carolina or the Bluebird, and it really came out totally different. So I guess it's just whatever kind of background you really want to get. So, but now I have, as these backgrounds are drying, now I get to just pull out my butterfly and see, which one will the butterfly be better on this one or here. I think that would look pretty. I could emboss it on vellum and pop it up. I like this here, how I embossed it, and I started taking the ink from the lids because it's going to coordinate now with the background, and I can come in and highlight some of those flowers. And by using a water brush, it just still looks really soft and pretty. And I don't have to get busy with a lot of colors, and I don't have to color in all of the flowers. So for me, the set is so beautiful that it really stands well on its own. So now I have a collection of backgrounds that I can turn into cards. I did cut these panels 4 and 5 1/4 because I like to mount them then on another piece. A card base. So, and again, remember, if your butterfly body or the dragonfly body doesn't come out 100%, this was the liquid onyx pearls that we carry, and it looks beautiful. And it was so easy to do. I just squeezed a little bit and dragged it up, kind of moved it around, and then set it carefully aside to dry where it would not hit anything. And Brenda, I'm seeing your comment now, and you know what? You're absolutely right. This would look beautiful with one of our umbrella stamp sets, or I have the rain boots from, I think it was last, I don't know when the rain boots were, but now that we're going to go with a watery theme, let's see what happens when I add the Carolina blue. I can't stop. I'm going to go ahead and just do that yet. And I do want to have a little bit more blue, so because it looks a little bit sparse, that one, compared to my pink ones. So let's go ahead and set these aside. See how impromptu I am? But I need your guys' suggestions because it really helps. So I'm adding a little water, and I'm going to go ahead and dab in. And this blue is so pretty. Hopefully I don't have any more gold in there, but we'll see. So I'm just moving it around, and that lets it absorb. The watercolor cardstock just stands up so much better than the white daisy, although I have seen other consultants use our white daisy or their French vanilla for this ink smooshing technique. So you might want to give it a try and see, you know, what do you like best. I am liking this added blue though. And somehow I'm getting in a little pink. See, some of that flamingo made it in there. That's what happens. I always have a surprise color. But that's okay. Ooh, that looks pretty. So, Brenda was saying you have to stay tuned to see how these cards turn out finished. It always seems when I do a Monday motivation, I end up having to finish the cards and come back a little bit later. But I'm loving this Carolina with the bluebird. These have been my favorite blues over the years, and they're just so pretty. And I love getting these little droplets. I don't know if you can see that, but there's some little droplets, and that just adds a little bit extra. Hi, Mary. Mary, this video is for you because you were one of the people that said, what is ink smooshing? And this is all about it. I showed how to pick it up on the scrap paper, but I could even, if I really wanted to go crazy, well, let me dry it first, because I think drying it is a key to getting the layers and that it's less muddy that way. Because if you just keep piling on colors, you're gonna ruin the effect. So I'm gonna zap this for a second. And Brenda has inspired me to get out the rain boots from last year. And I can't wait to make a card because it is spring. So, that probably wasn't that great of an idea to pick it up because I liked the base before. But that's okay. We'll see how it looks with a piece of, a pair of boots on top. So here you go. Here are some of the backgrounds that we've created. If you have Distress Oxide inks, this technique works perfectly well with them. You would do the same thing. But I'm happy to say that you can use our Close to My Heart inks for the ink smooshing technique. Well, thanks for coming to watch my Monday motivation. Happy spring. And these cards are going to see butterflies and dragonflies and a pair of rain boots. So have a great day, and I will see you hopefully next Monday. I have exciting news. I'm going to see my parents on Saturday. I have not seen them in a year and a half. They have their vaccines. I have my vaccines, and we're all really excited. And Mary, don't worry that you were late. It was kind of, I'm just getting my act together. Mondays are always hectic. So I'm glad you're here. You can catch the rerun. So if you're watching on replay, please leave a comment. I do come back and I respond to all comments. So don't forget that this March set, the stamp of the month, you can pick it up for just $5 if you spend $50, and we do have the cardstock carnival going on. You can also buy it at retail, so it's not a bad deal for $18.95. And if you are a VIP member and you spend $50, you do get this set for free. So be sure to add it to your cart, because we found out that even as a VIP member, you still have to put it into your cart to get it for free. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who came live and for watching the replay. And as always, I'm just grateful for you being here in our Stamp Blessing, the Craft Corner. All right. Bye.